Well, we're on page 357 of Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play. And we, of course, are here at Bellarmont. I'm in my temporary monk cell here. I have a video where I showed you around and I showed you the bathroom and everything. And then I had second thoughts thinking maybe I'll post that one after I'm back and nobody can chastise me for filming a monk's bathroom. But it's a very different atmosphere here. There's nobody walking around the campus with cameras. There's no Wi-Fi in any of the monastic areas. So I'm on a borrowed phone with a SIM card that we added more time to yesterday, and I'm a little nervous about it dropping out because we bought like 15 gigabytes, which should be plenty. But again, like I told some people already, that number went down to like I got a warning in the middle of the night. My phone chimed to tell me I only had 10 megabytes, not gigabytes, megabytes. That's tiny left on the account. And so I was telling Nick when I first logged on that if I fall out, we will have class tomorrow. I'm just going to have to go spend another day trying to find out how to jimmy rig a situation. It's so funny. Oh gosh. Anyway, there's so many stories to tell. I mean, nothing here is plug and play. It's plug, wrestle, find someone, meet someone else, go somewhere, pick something up, turn around 3 times, come back, start again. And somehow it gets done. All right. So last week we finished talking about Mother's anger. And this week we're going to talk about Holy Mother's compassion for the poor. And I'm feeling very emotional. I'll just say that up front. I don't know where that's, well, I know where it's coming from. I'm Bellarmont, crying out loud. Hey, myself. As best as I can. Oh, I mean, every time I read, I'm just reading these books and sitting in the same place that they happened is really becoming a problem. I I hate to just keep blubbering, just even when I'm in the room, even when I'm in the room by myself, because it's so vivid in my head. It's such an amazing experience. I'll just start reading and I'll just see it happening, and just anyway. If I look like I'm losing it, that's what's going on. Anyway, all right. Next, Holy Mother's compassion for the poor. Next to love, sympathy is the divinest passion of the human heart, wrote Edmund Burke. Only a generous heart suffers for the misfortunes of others, and only a great soul can absorb another's pain and grief. In his memoirs, Swami Ishananda told the story of Lakshmi Das, whom Holy Mother called Maji Bao, because her husband was a Maji, a boatman. He writes, one day I returned to Jairambati from Golpara with an elderly woman porter who carried a heavy load of groceries. She put the load down from her head and bowed down to the mother. The mother asked, Majiba, why have you not come here for such a long time? The woman replied in a piteous voice, Mother, I'm now in great difficulty. I move around various places to earn my livelihood. That is the reason your devotees do not find me to carry their luggage to your place. A few days back, my younger son passed away. At this, the mother exclaimed, what do you say, Majibo? Immediately, the mother's eyes teared. Having the mother's empathy, that woman gave way to her grief and cried out loudly. The mother sat down near her and pressed her head to a post of the veranda and began to cry loudly. The mother sat down near her, pressed her head to a post of the veranda, and began to cry loudly. Hearing her cry, all the men and women of the household rushed there and were dumbfounded, seeing that sight. Thus some time passed. When the intensity of their grief subsided a little, the mother asked Mandakini to bring some coconut oil. When it was brought, she poured it on the woman's head. After having oil rubbed on her head, that woman calmed down as if with a cooling effect. The mother then gave her puffed rice and molasses as refreshments and bade her farewell with tearful eyes, saying, Majibao, come again. It was evident how that woman had been consoled by the compassionate conduct of the mother. That really just where he said, the only difference between a real soul and but when an enlightened soul or Holy Mother like that sees someone suffering, she suffers. And so the Divine Mother really carried that woman's load, just clutching on to that post and weeping loud enough. And that woman with that life, I see it here firsthand. I walked by a home yesterday, or sort of a home. It's just a ramshackle shack. With a bunch of mats laying on the floor. With people sleeping in that little tiny room. And I could see Majibo here, a boat woman probably sleeps on the boat with her husband, who's the boatman, and losing their only son, which would have been their whole future. Who is going to take care of them in their old age, and her having to move around to make her livelihood. We see just mother's heart just opening up in such a beautiful, compassionate. No, the compassionate's just even a dirty word to use in that, because the heart was literally there with that woman, feeling and carrying her pain together. And this is our calling as human beings, to return to being human at this level. We've been so inundated and so um, hardened by the pleasures in life and the comforts in life and the stresses in life and the busyness of life. We've forgotten how to open our hearts like this, and how to really be willing to weep at that level with somebody, and to be willing to give ourselves to that level of empathy to each other. Because the way that I guess our society is at this point, we've all had to put up so many barriers because of the constant exploitation, constant flow of ads and videos and news and everything that just has caused us to have to build these barriers. And I think that really in our practice, and this is why it's so important to do our practice and to really, really be dedicated to it, is to remove those walls and to open our hearts and to be willing to be the ones who really care, who really are going to be there at this level like the Divine Mother. And it's not something we have to do. It's just something we have to be willing to be changed into, and then spend that necessary time with Mother, just to allow her that space to make these changes in us, which she does so readily and so happily. Just so very, very excited for us to be willing to take up the burdens with her children. She takes us. We can be the elder brothers and sisters helping out with that load and helping to care like that. Lakshmi, Manchhaldi, a village close to Jairambati, where many low caste people lived. Jogendra was the head of Holy Mother's palanquin bearers, and he used to row in the river. One night, Jogendra was drunk and beat his wife. The next morning, she went to the mother and complained against her husband. Immediately, the mother called for Jogendra and asked angrily, "Why did you beat your wife?" He replied, "Didi, revered sister, I beat her out of frustration." The mother firmly told him, "Never, never abuse her verbally. You are unhappy because you have no son. She is equally unhappy. What can she do?" Ashamed, Jogendra stood there with his head down. Then the mother said, "Go home. I tell you by the grace of the Master, your son, but never life." Through the blessing of Holy Mother, Manchipao and her husband, Jogendra Das, had a son, and afterward another son. Footnote. Jogendra had six children. First two daughters, that that's taken care of. That's how mother answers prayers. The mother named him Shantiram or Shanti and arranged for his rice feeding ceremony with the master's prasad. She also gave the baby two silver bangles. When Shantiram was a little boy, he and his parents would visit Holy Mother, who gave the boy various sweets and puffed rice to eat. Jairambati did not have a market, so people would go to Haldi to buy groceries and cloth. It is said that during the early days, when the Calcutta devotees came to Jairambati, the mother went to Haldi along with one or two companions in the early hours of the morning to buy groceries. Before the devotees got up, the mother had returned to her cottage. When Shanti was 10 years old, the mother left Jairambati for the last time. He recalled that picture of the mother's departure. It's still vivid to me. She was in my father's palanquin, and Bharata Maharaj followed her on foot. She went to Vishnupur via Sihar. The mother worshipped the mother worshipped Shantinath Shiva with sweets and then distributed prasad to us. Then her palanquin left for Kualpara, and I returned home. It was the last time that I ever saw the mother. One year, there was a drought in the Jairambati area, and the rice fields were almost dry. After bathing in the pond, Holy Mother went to Simhavahini temple, bowed down, and prayed, "Mother, if there is no rain, my children will not have any food. How can I watch my children starve? The children will come to me and say, 'Mother, we do not have any food to eat.'" Holy Mother returned to her cottage and began to worship the Master. Immediately, there was the sound of rumbling in the clouds and a torrential rain. The farmers' crops were saved. Holy Mother and the minstrels. I guess I really just can't brush over that, can I? Then Mother just prays once like that, and the dream changes. This is what it reminds me. It's a beautiful thing to remember and not to be fooled by the dream that we're in. This dream is of Mother's making, and we're walking through it. We're living in the Master's dream. And the world around us is Brahman. It is, well, Shakti. Brahman becomes Shakti, which doesn't happen either, but otherwise there's no way to talk about it. But anyway, this world that we live in, don't be fooled at all to think that this is a material world, you know, where atoms and particles have to be manipulated. No, this is all mind. This is all mind that we're living in, and it's the mind of the beloved that we're dwelling in, and that our relationship to the dreamer is as close as the dreamed, because that's exactly what each one of us is. We are Takor in a dreamed body and a dreamed situation in a dreamed universe. So when Mother's heart opens, she cries out to the dreamer, "My children, how will you leave them to starve like this? How can that be?" That the mind of the master is moved and it reigns in the dream. And so to see these things not from a material world perspective where they're miracles happening by the manipulation of something separate from themselves, from God, that's not the situation. It's much more intimate, much more beautiful, much more intimate than that, the hearing. And that this mind of God is moved by love. And so it's no more a miracle for Mother to call rain from the clouds in the dream than it is for you to have a body that's manifested in the dream. And for that to carry you, the divine self, you know, that divine soul being carried in your chariot to the body through the mind of God, through the mind of God, and to have come to a place now where God is dreaming spiritual things for you, signs of awakening. You know, on the horizon, the light's rising, dawn is coming for all of us. And the Master says that just coming to him means that the time isn't here. And so remember that when you read these things, it's not miracles happening because God is separate and reaches in and changes. It's the moving of the heart of the beloved, stirring his dream and letting us know that intimate touch and that closeness, that is the reality, so that we don't get lost in the dry and brittle ideas of a material world, which is only the crispy outer edge of this reality, and very, very thin outer edge of this reality that we're in. Holy Mother and the Minstrels. In 1917, Jagadhatri Puja was held in Holy Mother's new residence at Jairambati for the first time. The Mother herself prepared everything needed for the Divine Mother's worship. Brahmacharis Rajan and Bharata came to Jairambati from Kolpara the day before the ceremony to help. The morning of Jagadhatri Puja, Holy Mother went to the altar and prayed to the Divine Mother that the worship would be accomplished without any problems. After the worship, homa fire, food offering, and arati, the Mother again came to bow down to the Divine Mother. She also bowed down to the priest and the priest's prompter. All of the devotees and the villagers had a sumptuous feast of prasad, which made the Mother very happy. The next morning, Lalu of Satbir village came to Jairambati. He was a fisherman and also a folk singer. He bowed down to the Mother and said, "Aunt, I want to sing a Baal song this evening in front of the deity." Holy Mother discouraged him, saying, "No, my child, that is not possible. It will create a lot of problems for me. Where shall I get a canopy and a light? I cannot arrange those things." But Lalu was insistent. "Aunt, I shall gather everything. You will not have to worry at all." Late that afternoon, Lalu arrived, carrying a broken tin trunk on his head and a drum on his back. Holy Mother saw him. She said, "Lalu, the people will make fun of you. You should sing a couple of devotional songs to Mother Jagatri with the monks and then leave after having prasad." Lalu would not listen to him. He set up some bamboo poles in front of the courtyard and tied a torn jute cloth to them as a canopy. He hung a kerosene lantern on a post and then marched through the village, beating his drum and announcing the performance. When he returned to the courtyard, he began beating his drum with great enthusiasm in front of the deity. An audience gathered. He opened his trunk, took out his cloak, his anklets, and his ektara, a one-stringed instrument. However, when he pulled out his cloak, a few cockroaches fell off. Nalini shouted, "You wretch, do not sing here. You have come here to release your cockroaches. Close your trunk right now and leave." Lalu paid no heed to Nalini. He shook his cloak a few times and put it on. Then he began to play his ekthara and sang this song. He is really a fool who thinks that the world is real. Think, who is your father and uncle in this world? You are now smoking tobacco through your hubble bubble, which is making the bubbling sound. When you lose your teeth in old age, you will have to eat puffed rice powder. Wow, powerful words there. Lalu entered the audience by singing a few more humorous and devotional songs. Holy Mother and the villagers laughed heartily. Shortly before, just a beautiful scene. Just this. I met this man on the streets here already. Just so simple, so open as a person, nothing fancy at all. just just as basic and sincere and earnest as you can get, and just wanting to do your devotional act to sing to your Divine Mother, and just making the best of what you got. This isn't too different from all of us. If we look with spiritual eyes, we are this man. We he has the grace to understand, though. You see from the words of his song, he had the grace to understand what his station was before the mother, that he had nothing to show, he had nothing to offer, but whatever was at hand was put to use to sing his song to the Divine Mother, and to entertain, to not be uh, discouraged in any way. It was, somebody yells at me as the cockroaches are falling off my clothes, tells me to go home. They probably wouldn't have to tell me, you did. I would just kind of crawl out of that place and hide under the nearest log. But you just see, with that simplicity comes that boldness, because there's surrender there. And there's a knowing of his place, and a knowing that the joy of the master is in the devotion of the heart, and not in these trinkets of the dream that mean nothing. Our smoking hubble bubble, our tobacco, our enjoyment, our fine cars and houses and all the wealth that we enjoy, that has nothing, that is nothing. We're all beggars dressed in cockroach clothing spiritually before the mother. And the only grace is that she looks at us as her children and enjoys our performance in her oversized heels and our shawl borrowed from our closet, that this is mother's attitude toward us. Just such a sweetness, such a realness to it, such a right there. Devotion not being separate from the heart, devotion not being a conjured element of the mind, but devotion being our nature. When we've lost all of the coverings and all the protections and all the hardness of heart, and most of all, lost our egoism that would demand being blind. Shortly before Durga Puja every year, the minstrels of Bengal, known as Bals, go from door to door singing Agamani songs. Agamani is a kind of popular devotional song based on the stories of Shiva Parvati and associated with Durga Puja, which is held in autumn. The songs tell the story of Parvati, also called Uma, who was married to Shiva. When she went to her husband's house after the wedding, her mother, Menaka, was worried about her because Shiva was known as a poor beggar. In autumn, Menaka asked her husband to bring Parvati home, but Parvati stayed for only 3 days. This visit is celebrated as Durga Puja. The songs composed about her return to her parental home and are known as Agamani songs. Once a village minstrel began to sing in an Agamani song while sitting near the entrance of the mother's courtyard. Ashu saw the mother seated near the door go and listen to this song. Go, go, my husband Giri. Please bring Gauri, Uma, who is in distress. In my dream, I heard from the sage Narada and Uma cried, saying, Ma, Ma, your son-in-law is a bang addict. That's a marijuana pot. He was a pothead. Your son-in-law is a pothead beggar, and my Gauri is a golden daughter. Her husband sold all of Uma's beautiful clothes and jewelry and enjoyed his pot, his bound. When the song was over, the mother remained seated, motionless. The minstrel asked for a few coins, but she could not answer. Ashu gave him 4 pice and he left. 10 minutes passed, and still Holy Mother did not move. Ashu asked her to go to her room, but she didn't respond at first. When requested a second time, she said, "Let us go. Now everything is distasteful to me." After a while, she got up and sat on the floor of her room. Ashu observed her abstracted mood, and soon she exclaimed, "How many days more to go? A long time has passed." Gradually, she became normal and began to rub oil on her body and left for her bath. Probably that song reminded her of her true nature. Love always triumphs. Malaria, typhoid, pneumonia, dysentery, and cholera were the main killers in Bengal in the early 20th century, as they are in many poverty-stricken, as they are in many poverty-stricken rural areas today. Mosquitoes, flies, polluted drinking water, these are the main carriers of those diseases. Mosquitoes multiply in the stagnant water of village ponds, and the filth washed by rain from the bushes around the ponds pollutes the water. Villagers often bathe and wash their clothes in the same water that they use for cooking and drinking. In Holy Mother's time, Jairambati had no doctors and medicine was not easily available. Holy Mother suffered from malaria many times in Jairambati, and Sharadananda would send doctors and medicine from Calcutta for her treatment. These doctors were often alarmed when they saw the mother's emaciated body, and they would bring her back to Calcutta to recoup her broken health. Swami Parameshwarananda recalls, men and women bathed in Banerjee's pond, which is located on the south side of Jairambati village. The villagers used that water for drinking also. I used to bathe in the Amadar River in the northern end of the village. One could find pure, clean to collect that water for the mother to drink. So I carried a pitcher with me when I went for bathing. I said, "Mother, you worship the master with this water and then use it for drinking." There you see, that's the heart of the matter. You see, he's going to take his bath, doing his normal routine, but he immediately thinks of offering that water, that pure water, to mother. Just, how powerful that is when your daily routine starts to be affected by your idea of service to God, to the beloved. That means the heart is really changing at that point. That means that you're really beginning to understand that relationship with your nature and place in this dream of the dreamer. I thought that the mother would be pleased with that water, but she scolded me instead. She said, "Who asked you to bring this water? I have not asked you." Later, I noticed that the mother used the water I had brought for worshiping the master, and she also drank it. The next day, I thought, since the mother was drinking this water, I should bring it again, though she forbade me. This water is undoubtedly purer than the water of Banerjee's pond. So I took the pitcher to the river as before, collected the water in the same way, and brought it to the mother. Seeing the water, the mother angrily said, "Why have you brought this water? Who has asked you to bring it? I forbade you, and still you're bringing the water. I'm satisfied with this local water. Will you not obey me? Do not bring water anymore." I kept quiet, but I noticed that she used that water again. The next day, I brought water from the sandbank of the Almadar River and placed the pitcher once more before the altar of the master. This time the mother became very much irritated and told me, "I am forbidding you repeatedly, and still you are bringing the water. Will you not listen to me?" Observing that the mother was enjoying the water, I emphatically replied, Mother, I go to bathe in the river every day, and I will bring water for you. If you wish, drink it. Otherwise, don't drink it. But I will bring the water every day. That's love for love's sake. That's really love for love's sake. At this, the compassionate mother told me in an affectionate voice, My water is really good for my health. I forbade you because I did not want you to suffer from carrying this water over a long distance. I, I deeply felt her motherly affection and compassion. What holy people. What holy people. On one other occasion, I disobeyed the mother. Mandakini, an attendant of the mother, was suffering from pneumonia with a high temperature, with chills and chest pain. I said, Mother, let me arrange for Manda's stay in a nearby neighbor's cottage, which will be convenient for looking after her. The mother replied, No, she has come to serve me. Where will she go? She will stay in my room. Manda made her bed on the floor between the mother's altar and the mother's cot. It became inconvenient for the mother to get up and down from her cot and to perform the worship to the master. Moreover, her rice, dal, puffed rice, and other groceries were in her room, and she would meet devotees there also. I could find no solution, so I went to Kolpara Ashrama and informed Swami Keshavananda of the situation. He agreed to look after the treatment and nursing of the patient. On my way back to Jairambati, I arranged for a palanquin and bearers in Haldi village and asked them to come to the mother's house the next morning. All these arrangements were made without consulting the mother. When mother saw the palanquin in the morning, she asked me with wonder, My son, who's going by palanquin? I replied, Mother, we have decided to send Manda to Kolpara Ashrama where she will get treatment. Swami Keshavananda has taken responsibility for her treatment and diet. There will be no difficulty. Hearing this, the mother angrily said, Why have you brought the palanquin without asking me? She has come to serve me. Where will she go? She will stay here. Who has given you permission to bring the palanquin? Determined, I said, Mother, I will not listen to your order. I am sending her to Kolpara. Holy Mother replied, Then you won't obey my order. No, Mother, I won't listen to your order in this respect. Moreover, Radu's son comes to your room, and this is not good for him. The mother did not say anything. I asked Manda to get ready, which offended her immensely. Her desire was to stay with the mother all the time. Although there was great difficulty with her staying in Jairambati, she preferred to be near the mother if she were to die. She was reluctant to move anywhere else, and she too was mad at me. When the mother went to Punyapakur, a pond, I told Manda, You have come to serve the mother, and now you are thinking only of yourself. Can't you feel the mother's difficulties? As soon as the mother returned, I kept quiet. Again, when the mother went out, I insisted, If you do not want to give trouble to the mother, please get in the palanquin. Don't delay any more. You will have to go to Kolpara. Reluctantly, she got up from her bed and got into the palanquin. As soon as she left, we cleaned the mother's room, and slowly the bad odor of the patient disappeared. Later, the mother told me, It is good that she was sent to Kolpara. She had a desire to stay with me. She came to serve me, so I forbade you from sending her against her wishes. After a few days, Manda was cured of pneumonia and returned to Jairambati. I felt guilty that I had disobeyed the mother, my guru. Later, I told my story to Swami Sharadananda, and he reassured me, There is no fear. You disobeyed the mother for her own welfare. Remember, whenever you disobey the mother, let there be no self-interest in your mind. Let your actions be for service and for her convenience. You see where that boldness came from. The reason he didn't get in trouble for it was exactly that. There was no egoism in it. He really was doing it out of love for mother. And that is the one guru for all of us. You know, what boldness he had because of that love he had in his heart. You know, that clarity of vision, knowing what was the right thing to do because of love, because that his nature was leading him, not his mind, not his ego, not a calculation of thinking. He knew what love would do, and he did it, even though everything that was obviously representative of those things was telling him no. He still had that inner clarity that really speaks of an amazing practice. It really speaks of an amazing practice when that love begins to command us like that, despite anything outside. You know, no fear to do the right thing, no fear to care and to love like that. What an amazing story that is. Oops, I've lost you guys now. Okay. These gadgets are becoming so intricate, I can't even find the time anymore on them. I used to just be able to touch the screen and the time would pop down. Now a whole menu of like 9 different sub-menus comes up. The time's nowhere to be found. My troubles. My troubles. All right. Story of Jadu. We'll finish with the story today. In 1911, Holy Mother returned from her South Indian pilgrimage and went to Jairambati for Radhu's wedding. Swami Sharadananda, Yogan Ma, Golap Ma, and others were present during the marriage ceremony. The mother was pleased and relieved when Radhu was married and went with her husband to Tajpur. The evening when the newly married couple left, Swami Sharadananda was in a jovial mood. He praised Brahmachari Jadu for his untiring work in arranging Radhu's marriage. Swami Ishanananda recorded, "There was a heavy rain and thunderstorm in the evening on Brahmachari, and Brahmachari Jadu prepared a smoke for Sharad Maharaj. Imitating the East Bengal accent, the Swami humorously said, 'Jodo, if you can collect 108 podio,' footnote, according to the colloquial language of East Bengal, Jadu is pronounced as Jodo, yes, like Bibikanando." And I ran into this my first year in the monastery, Swami Aparnanda, who actually I ran into yesterday. He used to be the head Swami of the Berkeley Center. Anyway, he came over to give and he's very much from the villages of Bengal. He gave a lecture over at the monastery, over at the temple in San Francisco. And I was sitting there with Greg, and I listened to this whole lecture. It was all new to me because I had never heard of this Kormo Jogo thing. And so after the lecture was over, I turned to Greg and I said, "Wow." I said, "I thought that I knew the yogas. What is this Kormo Jogo that he's talking about?" And Greg told me that's karma yoga. They call it Kormo Jogo. So just like my friend with Tucker, I was Kormo Jogoized. So he's making fun of him. He says, "Jodo, if you can collect 108 podio now and offer them at the feet of the mother, then you will receive your unlimited grace and blessings in one day, and you will achieve the result of your daily worship with podio. You are a man of East Bengal known for tenacity, and this will be a test of your devotion and your enthusiasm." I only do that because he's making fun of him, mind you. Although Jadu had worked hard for Raju's wedding, disregarding the rain and the muddy roads, he had picked some lotuses every day from a pond and offered them at the feet of the mother. Wow. I just love how worshiping the mother is always on their minds. You know, they're carrying on their daily routines just whenever they see something, whether it's fresh water from their bath or they're out cleaning up the mud and they find lotuses on the pond and collect them and offer them every day. You know, this is when you begin to see the world as the dream, and you go through and you start noticing these little love letters from the divine everywhere. And then you start doing the same in return, offering them back, just having that eye of love everywhere, always, you know. Oh yeah, anyway. When Sharad Maharaj made that comment, Jadoo immediately left in search of more lotuses. It was pitch dark and raining heavily with lightning and thunder. Concerned, Sharad Maharaj got up and called him. Oh, Jodo, Jodo, please come back. But the stubborn Jodo would not pay any heed to that call. Holy Mother finished her kitchen work and was seated on her cot with her feet dangling. Someone told her about this incident, but she did not say anything. After an hour, Jadoo returned, drenched with rain, with 108 lotuses from the pond 1 mile away. He offered those lotuses at her feet and bowed down to her. Mother blessed him by placing both of her hands on his head. Sharad Maharaj remarked, well, let his will be done. I hope he does not get sick. I heard that after some time, Jadoo contracted malaria, and after suffering for a while, he passed away in full consciousness in the hospital of the Ramakrishna Mission at Kankal. He got his liberation there. So it is to die in full consciousness, full awareness. You're watching the body go with no concern. You know yourself to be the dreamer. You're going to leave the dream and be free.